I'm playing the career of the worst player in the game, well, the worst quarterback in college football 26, so meet Carson Krueger, EA's least favorite guy. This kid can't do anything right. He has 61 medium throw accuracy, 41 break sack, but I'm gonna have to win the Heisman with him and a national championship. Those are some of the 6 goals that I really want to achieve while playing Carson Krueger's career, and since his deal breaker is brand exposure, we might be transferring to different schools throughout this video. He's already a sophomore, so I don't have much time to save his career, but he better get some good rest the night before his debut as a 57 overall, because we have to go on the road to play at Maryland. With only 3 years to save this guy's career and somehow win the Heisman, we have to immediately get off to a good start and have some success. The hard part is we know our defense is probably going to give up a good amount of yards. They are not going to make this easy on us, and we just handed it off on 3rd down. It's safe to say that we were not amazing in the first quarter, but here in the second, we're going to be able to get to midfield for the first time, and we're going to see if we have the speed at FAU to really confuse this Maryland defense. We might be able to hit the seam here, and we did. To do that on Heisman with a 57 overall quarterback is a massive deal, though I just made one of the worst reads of my life. That's the type of stuff I'm going to have to avoid throughout this video if we really want to achieve all that we can with him. It's about to be 3rd down. And here we go. Carson Krueger cannot make any adjustments. We're just going to have to take our hitch route, and we're going to catch it. Now, I don't think this kid's fast. Maybe we focus on upgrading his speed throughout his career. He's going to fumble on the goal line where it's recovered by the Terrapins. And so all of a sudden, we're down 14-0 because they scored again, and it's going to be even harder for us to pull this one off. I thought he was going to be able to just reach across the goal line and get us in there. We have some time before the end of the first half. But I will say this, how this first season goes is far less important compared to those last 2. Obviously, we're not winning the Heisman this year. We're probably not even going to be in the running for a spot in the conference championship with overthrows like this that are going to cost us the chance to get points before the end of the first half. So as this game has gone on, we just find ourselves in a really rough spot on 4th down. We drop the ball. So I've basically just had to accept that we're not going to be able to come back, though we have driven down the field with a 1.5 left. It would be really clutch if we could just get in here. We're going to hit our flat to our running back, but he's short. And look at this motion we got. I feel like we're going to get a lot of separation. One of the two is going to have to be open, but we don't get a touchdown. Aside from throwing for 1 in the 3rd quarter, we didn't do much. It was not a good debut for Carson Krueger, which is why I need to start setting in a plan for how he's going to have success. Remember, I brought up this challenges list where there's a lot that I want to achieve in these 3 seasons with the worst player. And I think step 1 that could end up making a difference is I get to be the head coach controlling this kid. So we have gone down the motivator pathway and we've reached tier 4, which is going to give him some bonuses that'll help with development. I am also able to recruit the guys that'll be around him, which is a pretty big deal if we end up staying at FAU. If we're forced to transfer out, then none of this matters, so we're not going to focus on it. But I have a couple 4 stars on the board, and I feel like a realistic goal for this first season with the worst quarterback would just be getting this team to a bowl game. Our schedule is really not that bad. We're about to play against an FCS school, but we play in Florida, which means there's probably going to be a lot of rain games. Another thing I've picked up on, which isn't even the fault of Carson Krueger, is the team surrounding him just isn't good. But we have gotten very lucky because with 30 seconds left in the half, our defense got us the ball back. We've already been able to throw for 1 touchdown, but I'm looking to get a 2 touchdown lead. I do not want to just take a field goal here. But Carson Krueger is going to have to start making some pretty good throws if that's going to happen. You can see that we're experiencing quite a few drops. That ball is so off target that it's going to be intercepted. Thankfully, they don't take it all the way back. But struggles like that are how we even find ourselves trailing as we approach the final 2 minutes. I think it's going to be an extremely long season for us. I might have just thrown a pick to them as well. So our defense is going to be responsible for getting us the ball back, and they probably won't be able to do that. We just have to watch since all we're controlling is the quarterback. I think I underestimated how hard this was going to be. I mean, it's nice that we just got the stop, but I don't know how I'm supposed to win a Heisman Trophy or a national championship in just a few seasons. Luckily, our punt return put us in a good spot. There's no guarantees we do anything with it since our guys are creating absolutely no separation, but I was hoping that they would, and on 4th down, we're going out quickly. It's short. It's short. I might be in a lot of trouble here. If we can't beat an FCS school, we might go the entire season without winning a game. The main problem I see too is if we are hoping for us to transfer to a better program where we could have more success, we're 57 overall. So no better team is going to take us though we do have one skill point available, which allows us to upgrade our accuracy. For every game that we play, I have got to keep an eye on that. We're about to play our rivals FIU, which puts me in a weird spot because anytime I've been a part of this rivalry on this game, it's when I was doing my Panthers dynasty. Now we are on the opposite side of things, trying to carry the worst quarterback in the country. And that play for us basically sums up how every single drive ends, though with a great route from Brantley, we get a first down. And it should be noted that here in the third quarter, we've only been able to throw for 40 yards so far, so it's been a rough day. We've continued our drive down the field though, and if we can get this out quick, we should have a first. What I've been going for so far in this season is always getting passing touchdowns just because that is going to help us upgrade our QB, which is what we need. Carson Krueger gets us into the end zone. And if we can throw the short, Smith is open on our next drive. Talk about an electrifying third quarter from the worst quarterback in the game. Every single pass I get scared to throw because they always feel so inaccurate. But we are so close to finishing this drive off. We're going to hit the RPO and be short. Here we go. Final play of the quarter. We're going to hit our halfback angle route for 6. And as time has gone on, we are relying on our defense to end this one. It's 4th and goal for FIU. They have to get into the end zone and they can't. So for the first time, Carson Krueger gets to get on his knees, end this one, and take home the rivalry trophy for FAU. So far, that's been his best performance with 2 touchdowns, almost 200 passing yards. But I don't know if we can keep up that level of success against undefeated Memphis. I really don't know what I'm hoping for, whether that's staying at FAU or getting lucky and transferring to a better program at the end of the season. I think there's some neat parts about the Owls, like these black jerseys, but we're just not that good. And that showed throughout this game so far. As you can see, we've given up 14 points. While scoring none ourselves, we're going to try and pick up this 3rd and 10, but we can't even hit that throw. So that's how we scored our first 3 and our only 3 points this entire game. This was the most frustrating performance. Whenever you're missing more than half of your passes, it's just hard to move the rock. And it's been a few weeks where we still haven't gained any more skill points, though if we did and we started upgrading other things, the computer might do that automatically since I have auto upgrades on. If I was controlling it, I would obviously only be focused on upgrading our accuracy until that gets maxed out. Though I'm not sure I can even do that in this video since Carson Krueger has normal development. The cool thing about him though is if we have a good enough season, then we could get a dev trait upgrade. But I think you all can pretty clearly see why that's not going to happen because he can barely hit a throw. If we end up staying with the Owls after this year though, my hope is we can just get a really good transfer class that improves this team. Then next season with a better surrounding cast, he can take himself to the next level. We're going to complete this one as first half runs down, which puts us so close to scoring a touchdown. A little jet touch pass might be able to get us in without having to make a read, and it does. The problem though in this game is we just haven't been able to keep up with them offensively. We're dropping easy passes that should have been caught. And that's a hard throw for Carson Krueger to make. I mean, the kid's only got like 82 throw power. On 4th down with the game on the line, at least Henry brings this one in. But I'm honestly not sure what the bigger problem is, Carson Krueger or the offense. He is simply just not set up to succeed with the Owls, though this could be an incredible throw, which is massive for us. We're just going to hit our running back underneath. He snags it with one hand, but we're not in yet. We still need that passing touchdown, and I think we're going to get it. More importantly, after getting a defensive stop, we have an opportunity in the final couple of minutes to win against Rice. And I think we're just going to hit our drag here, but it's out of reach. It is so brutal out here trying to have any bit of success. At least we get the 4th and inches. This could seriously be the most impressive win of the season if we pull this off. But it's a bad throw that Brantley just doesn't jump for. It's so hard to train myself that I can only take checkdowns if I want to have a lot of success. But that's just the reality of using Carson Krueger, and let's see what we can do in the final couple of minutes. A touchdown wins this game for us. We're going to get that throw out fast. Now we're going to go over to our running back on the next one, see if he can outrun this kid to the sideline. Basically, just keeping everything quick. Easy passes that aren't hard to complete. This is the most yards that we have ever thrown for in a game, 300. But it's also the most amount of interceptions we've ever thrown because that's 4. I can't do it. Our accuracy is so bad that if I even hold the meter for a little second, he misses. It's just a brutal experience. I thought Alexander Bean was bad. He doesn't even come close to what we're dealing with. The real question now becomes, are we going to be able to get him any help next season? And that's going to be decided by this next game against UAB where all these players are on a visit. I still want to mainly build out of the transfer portal, but getting a few 4 stars could not hurt. I'm starting to lose a lot of faith whenever it comes to whether or not we're going to make a bowl this first season, especially since our best receiver has some of the worst stats I have ever seen. But I am trying to have some faith and it looks like we're going to be able to finish off this drive. Carson Krüger has been on one so far, especially when it comes to finding our tight end. Those are the types of plays with our like 80 throw power though that just make me so upset. We're going to break the tackle and we're going to fight our way in. See, this is how you begin a game. Right now, we're scoring more than UAB is. And you could argue that it's because they're simply not that good, which is pretty valid. I mean, as we close this one out, it's all tied up. We've been able to keep this one tight all game, but it's not over until the final whistle sounds, and that's dropped. What we're going to do on 3rd and inches is we're going to run this RPO, and we're just going to hit our flat. He seemed open. To win this game, we really don't need to do that much, though I would like to complete a pass for a little bit more. And I swear, Carson Krüger has done enough to put this team in the right spot. Do not miss this game-winning field goal. We don't. There we go. We've gotten ourselves a little bit of momentum. We won our first conference game. It's not an impressive stat line. You can see that we're still completing only about 50% of our passes. But at least it's been enough to get the job done. And with that visit win, you're going to see us gaining some huge leads over most of these schools for these 4 stars. Like I said, though, that doesn't matter that much because we might not be with FAU next season, depending on whether or not if we transfer. Currently, at the moment, Carson Krüger needs a C- brand exposure, which is kind of crazy for a 59 overall. FAU has an F grade, so he's obviously going to want to leave, but he is starting to upgrade some of his stats too, which is affecting that as his accuracy's gotten a little bit better. The more he plays, the better he's getting. We have an in-state matchup here. And in most scenarios, I will root for USF just because I spent a couple years down in Tampa before coming back to Kentucky, but not here. It feels like Carson Krüger finally has some momentum to work with. He's going to complete this pass to get us to the 1. And I can point out that I've already thrown 2 interceptions in this game, but that's not important. His accuracies are really bad. We're going to throw picks. What we're looking for is touchdowns, but I'm not sure he wants them. We're going to go for a quarterback sneak. This one gets him his first rushing touchdown of his career, and we're currently in a really good position to end the first half strong. We're basically in the red zone, driving down the field against USF here. We're going to have a wide open Dominique Henry, and I love the idea of this RPO panning out for us if they don't play the bubble. They played the bubble. Not only did they play the bubble, they're going to return it for 6, and you could say that's my fault. I thought I could throw it over this kid's head. Clearly we couldn't, which led to us just continuing to struggle all the way up till here in the 4th quarter, where we just had a dot. It's always interesting trying to pull off these comebacks at the end where we've just had a really rough day. It could be so much easier if we didn't. 4 interceptions in a game is kind of becoming the norm, but I don't know what you want me to do. Half of our turnovers come off of the fact that this kid can't even make a 10-yard throw. That one was my fault. Did I think that this linebacker was going to make a play on that ball, though? Absolutely not. Can I say my lesson was learned from this performance whenever it comes to throwing a lot more picks? No, it still hasn't been. I throw 2 to 3 a game normally whenever I have a good quarterback, and I'm using the worst one. It's really looking like making it to a bowl game in his first of 3 seasons is just not going to be a reality. Mainly because we still have to play road games at undefeated Navy, we have to play at Tulane, and you just saw how we did against USF. We're probably throwing another 5 interceptions. If we end up pulling this one off, I am going to consider it a huge miracle for us. We just completed that throw. And so far, it's looking like we might be able to get off to a strong start. Never mind. I literally cannot place the ball anywhere that I want to. We're going to have to just get really lucky with this one. It's dropped. And so this is another game I'd love if we just acted like it never happened. Now to close out the season, we need to win 4 games to be bowl eligible. We're about to play Tulsa. I think by now I've decided that I would love for us to just transfer. That's what I'm rooting for. Whether or not it happens, though, is a whole other thing because there's about 50 guys that want to leave the Owls at the moment. It's kind of crazy how many guys just won out. On a 4th down, we're going to throw it and barely hang on. I'm forcing it with Carson Krüger though, because again, we want those passing touchdowns for his stats. As this one's progressed, we've actually played decently well. We're currently in a spot where we're going to be on a 4th and 1. Never mind, we're going to get a first down out of it, and we already have a 7-point lead. We just can't make these passes. I really can't tell sometimes if it's a receiver issue or if it's an accuracy issue. But with that throw from Carson Krüger, I thought I set up the team to be in field goal range. Coach suggestion said we were going to kick our 3. Instead, we're going for it, and I was spectating. That was really frustrating because I thought it might end up costing us, but instead, we've been able to maintain our lead. We just went up by 2 possessions. And as this game has gone on, I'm actually just looking to make our stats even better, which is something we've not had a chance to do. I think this is the first game where I have not thrown an interception at all. We're going to see if we can dump this one off to our running back for a touchdown. And I think we have finally been able to win player of the game with Carson Krüger. Never mind, they still gave it to our running back because he caught a couple couple of those tutties. But I don't care. We improved to 3 and 6, and I am so proud of this stat line. We've even been clearly upgrading our accuracy and IQ because those have gotten higher throughout the entire season. And a signing like Craig Hampton could protect us if we stay at FAU. Just to have a few 4-stars on board before we even get to the transfer portal period is a big deal for me. And it's going to be very interesting to see if we even stand a chance against Tulane. They're currently sitting on top of our conference at 8-1. They have not lost a single American Conference game. And that's why I'm not surprised that with 6 minutes left against them, we're trailing. But for Carson Krueger to be slinging the rock like that, he's got some confidence in him. We're going to hit our drag over to Smith to go to the 14. And this game is not over yet, though it's going to be soon. If we can't simply block there and give ourselves a few seconds to throw, we can't score. It's going to be 3rd and 12, and I might try to high point this ball, though if it's man-to-man coverage, I'm just going to hope that we hold on. This is a hard spot to be in, especially if they end up bringing the pressure. Not getting that out quick enough is probably going to cost us this game. I mean, just look at how they're locking down the slant. Because our defense got a quick stop, we still have a chance with a few minutes left, but it's going to be 4th and 4. I can't even make any adjustments to the play, and we're just going to have to go underneath to our running back, which doesn't get caught. So I think I'm just ready to accept this season needs to end. The first year Carson Krueger's career is not going to go the way that we want it. Maybe we'll be able to get lucky and win a couple of games to end the season, but I feel like that's asking for a lot as we're currently trailing against UConn. Now, for one of the first times this season, Carson's not been the problem in this game. He's not turned the ball over. He's actually the only reason that we're currently still in it. But we are going to need to finish off this drive with a touchdown, and we're getting a lot closer. I've been running off clocks, so the Huskies won't have as much time to respond, though it looks like they're going to get about 45, which was not the end of the world. Assuming that UConn doesn't score on this Hail Mary, which they shouldn't, they don't, then we are going to pick up our 4th win going into our final game. Carson Krueger has also won his first player of the game because he didn't throw picks. I just don't know how we're going to improve him and whatever team around him enough to complete any of these challenges with 2 more seasons. Of all the things I've put on there, the Heisman Trophy and a national championship just seem absurd. Though you never know, if we could just get lucky and stumble to like an LSU, since we're automatically going to always be the starter, that would be massive. I just don't think the Owls are the team that's going to help us win it all at the end of the day. Though, what a catch from Smith to break it and get in. I was just sending up a prayer on 4th and 1, hoping that we stayed in this game. Jabari Smith is clearly a player that we're not going to want to transfer out at the end of the year. Let's see what we can do on this 3rd and 1, though. I went over to our flat immediately. I was just panicking. We're going to have to get this ball out, and it seems like we should be fine. The passes are just so far underthrown that you can never tell if it's going to work or not. I'm really excited to be able to upgrade his accuracy as much as we can, though, at the end of this season. I don't think Carson Krueger's speed's ever going to be in a good spot just because he came in with not that much, but that's a good passing touchdown. We still have to be able to close this one out, though. And for one of the first times this season, one of our receivers has actually been able to beat the press. He was not fast enough to finish off the job, though, which sucks, because I think we're going to get held to 3. But maybe not even that. The game says that we can't kick from here, which means I had to go for it. Fortunately, East Carolina ended up doing nothing with that, though, so we're still going to get the win. We're getting another player of the game. And it can now be official that these are our first of 3 season stats with Carson Krueger. 2,400 yards, 18 touchdowns, 20 interceptions. We also rushed for negative 53 yards, mainly just taking a loss, taking a bunch of sacks this year. On the receiving side of things, nobody was great. Everybody wants to leave. And I can't blame them. They probably want to go to a team that can actually compete in the American Conference. Just in case we don't end up getting transferred out of here, by the way, I'm going to try and find some better coordinators. If we get stuck with FAU, I almost have to do a mini rebuild inside of this player career. But the guys that actually want to be a part of the Owls team are pretty bad. Now, it turns out Tulane was so good, they made it all the way to the semifinals. That was not what I was expecting to see, but we're about to find out if we're actually going to transfer. There is a lot of players that wanted to leave FAU, and apparently we are not going to be one of those. But now what we have to do is really rebuild this team through the portal. Unfortunately, signing a couple special teams players and a few 4-stars is not enough to make this team better, though Matt Blank is going to be amazing for our defense with elite development. And it's going to be very interesting to see how many of these receivers we can convince to come to FAU. Now, there's still no guarantees that we're going to get Cooper Perry theory that we're going to get Tank Hawkins, who I know is going to be a beast, by the way, just off of other rebuilds. Even LJ Johnson Jr., it's just seeming like for most of them, we should be able to pull away. What I've done with this board is I have tried to build it out with as many players as possible that we can just win without putting many hours into them, so we can fill up this team with better players. But on guys like Brian, Eastern Michigan's trying to take him away from us. And so that's something I'm going to have to pick up on. Micah Strickland, if you remember him from the FIU series, we might be getting him. But then there's other battles, like this one for AJ Hoffler, where there's another school entering the battle. After seeing that, I just decided he was better off not being on our board. There's been multiple players like that where it's just not going to be worth it for us to compete for them when we could put these hours to use elsewhere. Then I'm going to have to go through and manually upgrade every player. It's going to be a very long off season, but ideally we're able to surround Carson Krueger with the right type of guys. We even had an extra skill point or two sitting around so we could upgrade his accuracy. But now we have to handle this final week of recruiting, and it's looking like for most of these battles, they're already over. If we can just maintain first place on these transfers, we're going to sign a full class of 35 players. So I'm just going to close app so I don't have to click through this 30 times. I just really hope that all of these signings are able to actually turn around FAU, because we only have 2 years left to achieve everything I want to, and this is going to have to be the difference maker. I was hoping to see star development on a lot of these players, but it's either normal or impact for basically every transfer. It's going to stunt their development a little bit, especially in a shorter time frame, but we signed a top 40 class in the American Conference, which is the second best. Once I go through training results and upgrade all these players, I think we're going to be able to have like an 80 overall team. I've also decided to move someone like Saquon Patterson over to Mike linebacker just because he should be faster and here for a couple of seasons. But it's time to spend our 24 skill points with Carson Krueger. I think accuracy is the only thing I'm going to focus on upgrading this year, because we could upgrade his throw power, but it's going to be very expensive. Currently upgrading his accuracy, it cost us probably 10 or 11 more skill caps to get it as high as it could possibly go. We have 3 more skill points to spend, and now we're out. I think that was the best way to do it, but he could end up transferring at the end of season 2 as well, before he becomes a senior, because we're just not going to meet his brand exposure deal breaker. I do think we're going to be in good hands being able to throw the ball to Tank Hawkins, by the way. With his 97 speed, he can't get any good abilities on the route running side of things because that's already capped out. But either way, just looking around, I think we're going to have a better receiving core to throw the ball to this year versus last. We're also much better on the defensive side of the ball with 2 cornerbacks that are over an 86 overall. And finally, we can put some more of our points as a coach into tactician. I've been waiting for this because this will take our team to the next level. The first thing we're actually going to focus on is just making sure our quarterback accuracies are a little bit higher. We need anything that we can get. Then I'd prefer if our offensive line had the best blocking possible, but after that, I'm not going to focus on our receiving stats. I'm actually going to want to improve our defense first. The reason for this is the more stops we can get, the better chance we have at winning a lot of games, which is going to allow us to achieve a lot more. And as you can see, with our overall updated plus all the boost and transfers, we're in 84, though there's a chance that a lot of the guys on this team transfer out at the end of the season. The same thing is true for Carson Krueger, though. We might end up leaving FAU at the end of the season, so for his senior year, we could be playing for a completely different team. But that's what the roster is looking like. Seeing some of our stats, 78 medium accuracy, 85 throw on the run, which isn't that effective with 71 speed. I think next year we're going to try and turn ourselves into the pocket passer archetype. I don't know if it's going to work or not, but it'd help a lot for our development. Tennessee on the road is the one game on the schedule that absolutely terrifies me. Facing a school like Memphis is going to be hard too, but Tulane is not on here. I might be setting a crazy goal for this season, but I believe with all the transfers we've brought in, we can go 9-3 at the worst. And I'm also hoping we can complete our first challenge, which is breaking the FAU single season passing touchdown record at 33. We're definitely shooting for a lot this year. At least I know we should beat an FCS school this time around. And do you know what the beautiful thing is about having receivers that are actually good? It is effortless to score touchdowns. It also helps that we're just a lot more accurate, so we're going to be able to complete more passes than last season for sure. And I know we have a chance at taking the top off of their defense every so often. It's just our throw power is so bad. We're probably not going to score on every single drive. There's still going to be missed throws. But I will say, I assumed we'd do better than we have in this matchup so far, which is why I'm glad we found Tank Hawkins D. That's the transfer that I wanted more than anybody else. He has 97 speed. He is going to stretch the defense every single time. Even if he's awful at running routes, And we've done it again. We have done it again. Even 90 speed is enough to score on an FCS corner and press. So Cooper Perry had a good game as well. We're going to win 31-6. And look at these stats with no picks. That's obviously not going to last the entire year. We're about to take on Tennessee, but we're just going to keep on getting better. We're rebuilding the entire roster around playing the career of the worst QB. And let's see what happens here. My hope is Tennessee just overlooks us and they don't consider the fact that we could pull off this upset. But in order to do that, we're going to have to play pretty perfectly. So far, that's just not working out for us. I mean, their corners are running routes for our receivers, but our defense is holding it down pretty well, and we've been able to drive all the way to the 24. Running the football's done nothing for us, though. We are literally averaging less than a yard per carry, so we're basically going to have to throw on every single down. I don't know who was supposed to be blocking right there, but we're going to pick up the 4th and 4. We had the time to get that one out. Duke Clark going to get open for a halfback screen, and nobody is near the transfer. As we approach halftime, we're actually in a very good spot. I was going to force it there no matter what. And it looks like they're going to go with man-to-man coverage on Jackson Warren, who's able to get open. Another FIU legend. We now have him on FAU, and no one's watching our backup tight end on the drag. Like I said, we play well enough. We could shock the Volunteers. Their offense has just been really bad, though they were ready for this halfback screen. So I can't believe that Duke Clark's going to get it. They've even come out very aggressive. If we can get enough time back here in the pocket, I'm throwing it up. It's going to be out of bounds, though, unfortunately. The second that we try and force something deep, everything falls apart for us. Carson Krueger is also dealing with some immense wear and tear damage, but he still completes this one. The hard part is we just haven't been able to do much since then. No hot routes are working. This is probably a pick, because I tried to force it into that window too soon. We could have taken 3. And looking back on it, that's going to be the biggest mistake in this game, because with a minute left, we have the ball back, but guess what? They were able to score a touchdown. And Carson Krueger is shaking out his left leg before every single play. The man is not healthy enough to be out there on the field. Luckily, after punting it back to them, they did nothing with it, and they're getting stopped in overtime. So we can win this game with a touchdown, and they're just bumping our receivers mid-route. They are getting the home field advantage to work for them, but they weren't looking at Jackson Warren in the flat. And ideally, I'd like to just keep on making those underneath reads. But here we go. It is 3rd and 2. Are they going to give us our tight end? They are. He turns the corner, and we're going to take down Tennessee. Neyland Stadium is silent as the Owls have shocked the Volunteers. I can't say that Carson Krueger did the best job in this one with his 2 interceptions, but we'll take it. Next season, going for a Heisman Trophy with him, it's going to be crucial that we have, like, no picks. But for this season, it doesn't matter that much. All I want to do is set the FAU single-season touchdown record at 33. I will say, after facing off against Tennessee, it is so much better playing against a low overall team like FIU. We're back at home, and even though we are dealing with wear and tear damage, we have some receivers that seemed like they were getting open. Carson Krueger almost started this game with an interception there. We're going to wait for a route to turn around for a tutty. Cooper Perry is an absolute beast for that, and we had a wide open Jackson Warren on our next drive. It's looking like we're going to win this rivalry 2 years in a row. I've actually become a lot more comfortable making some deeper throws, and if they aren't there, then we can always check it down. Words cannot describe how much better this team is than the one we were working with last year. I don't love scrambling. With limited time left in the first half, I probably should have thrown that one away. Now we're not getting points. But I've been willing to take a lot more sacks this year because it is so much better for our stats than just throwing an interception, and we might be going for a touchdown if we could fight in. I still think jet touch passes are viable options as well whenever you have fast receivers, though we're not going to get it on this play. The defensive pursuit angles there were actually extremely impressive, but at the end of the day, they're still not stopping us, and we might be able to pass for 4 touchdowns. I am really liking our odds of that as our slant is open and caught. That is something we could not have thrown last year, for sure. We have seen Carson Krueger take an immense step forward, and he's only going to get better. 255 passing yards, 4 touchdowns, no turnovers. This surrounding cast has been great, but it's about time that we start conference play. Memphis is going to be one of the toughest teams on our schedule. We already talked about it. But one thing that's going to make a huge difference in this game is how we end up converting on stuff like a 4th and 1. I'm looking deep. If it's not there, we're just going to go underneath to Jackson Warren, who breaks a tackle and then moves like the complete opposite of a 6'6" tight end, but that's bad. We're still experiencing quite a few broken plays like that one. There's a flag. This is coming back for holding, so we're probably not going to get a touchdown out of this drive. But at least Carson Krueger's having a better year. He is easily on pace to throw for the most passing touchdowns in FAU school history. I don't know why I thought that that linebacker wasn't going to play that, but the defense we have built for this team has been so good. It's just stupid turnovers like this that hurt us. Maybe the third time's the charm. Maybe this time we won't mess this drive up. I think the real answer to all of our problems is just get this ball in the hands of Duke Clark and let our downfield blockers go to work. I'm obviously not happy with the amount of turnovers in this game, but when Memphis isn't scoring, it really doesn't matter that we've only scored 7 up to this point. We ended up closing this one out too, winning 22-8. And currently, we are one of the 2 teams that are still undefeated in our conference. With how good we're doing with FAU, I'm hoping that we stay here the rest of our career. I was rooting for the transfer at first, but now that I'm seeing the potential, I don't want that. I know at some point, there's going to be a team that gives us a good challenge. Like right here, I should have just gotten rid of it. That has basically been our entire offense. A lot of problems in this game, which is how we're trailing. But it's not been mistakes from Carson Cruver. I just think Tulsa's played us well. We haven't thrown an interception yet. You're going to see them backing up, so we're going to be able to split their defense. And we basically have a few shots at the end zone before the end of the half. They send a blitz, which is perfect for us. You know, sometimes the amount of drops that we see just drives me absolutely insane. But there's such thing as good drops too. That was a good drop, for example. And what do? I thought we were going to get in there. We just didn't get as much separation as we needed. We went for it, and that's how you end a half. What we really want to see in this third quarter, though, is them just underrating our receivers. I would love if they gave us a chance to just toast them deep, but I don't see it happening. They've been playing our receivers backed off the entire time. That catch from Jackson Warren was great, but we have to pick up this 3rd and 3, and sure enough, they're going to get a hand on that ball. I like the idea of Tank Hawkins just coming underneath and being so fast that they can't keep up with him. That was exactly what we needed right there as well, because we've gotten the ball back again after that, and they played the slant. We had a touchdown there, but it wasn't placed well enough. Luckily for us, as time has gone on in this one, we have still been able to stay in it, though we've got to block him. 52 was doing absolutely nothing. It almost makes me think that we just got to throw this one up. We gave it back to Tulsa, and we got to stop. A quick stop. Now we're getting a perfect look here. We just need a clean enough pocket. That one hurts us a lot. They literally were going to press us off the rip, and then they adjusted their defense. Carson Cruver is currently dealing with -8 throw power due to wear and tear, but if he can make this throw on the money, this one's going to be over. No! I know it's raining, but there's no excuse for dropping that ball. We had it in our hands. 3rd and 4, last chance to get them off of the field, and we can't. That's how we're going to lose our first game of the season. Looking back, one interception just changed everything. We didn't have to force the ball the way that we did, but at least we play UConn. It's a great chance for us to bounce back. We're still having miles better of a season compared to last. I'm just so upset because we could have currently been sitting at 5-0. With 20 seconds left in the first half, by the way, we're currently down by 3 points. I think whether it's a check down to Duke Clark or it's our drag route to our tight end, we're going to be able to get into the end zone. But as this game goes on, we simply have not scored that many points. That stop there from UConn has led to them taking a lead against us. We just sent this one deep. I was crossing my fingers there, but if we get a man-to-man coverage look, I mean, Tank Hawkins was gone. This is what I get, though, for staring him down when we did not need to throw to him, because now we're in a tough spot on 4th and 6. No one thought guarding Tyler Warren would be a good idea. And we have survived for a little bit longer against the Huskies, though that can't be underthrown. I aim towards the sideline, and he just doesn't place it where I want still. It's going to all come back to his accuracy, but that could have legitimately just been a touchdown. And it's an overthrow. For whatever reason, coach is refusing to send the field goal unit out on 4th and 3. And that is with Carson Cruver holding the back of his right thigh. He is clearly not fully healthy. Jackson Warren, what is that route, buddy? He clearly needs to improve his route running because that was not going to fool anybody, though Duke Clark is in. And after getting a stop, we could actually win this game on a 3rd and 7. I'm throwing that. It's caught. I've still been dropping too far back. I've not been making quick enough reads. But Carson Cruver executed in this one to make sure that we get another win. I still think this season's been much better than last. Even if our passing yard totals are looking very similar, I'm happy with what we're doing at the moment. We have thrown 6 interceptions on the year, but we have also been able to throw for quite a few touchdowns. And actually, we've thrown for more touchdowns this year than we did last season already. Those are some pretty remarkable numbers. Next up on our schedule is Navy. And this is one of those teams that just obliterated us the previous year. This season, though, they're not having as much success. We scored very early on in this game, we're about to score again. But that not being a touchdown literally all comes down to our throw power being bad. At least we still got a field goal out of that drive. Seems like they're going to be pretty aggressive on this play. Left the middle wide open for us, but these accuracy problems are not ever going to change unless we get really lucky. We're going to need some of our accuracy skill caps to basically just not exist. Because right now Carson Krueger is pretty capped out. I cannot stand that animation, by the way. The worst one we could have gotten in that last play. Doesn't matter though. We have a running back that is incredible at catching. The best part about Duke Clark is I didn't even work on his catching stats. But there's another time where we could have had a passing touchdown, and thankfully we're going to get it on 4th down, but we're lucky. The way we took care of business so early on in this one, I think we're going to be good to just close it out. Though we're going for some stat padding. And I am not ashamed of it either. They came out pressing Tank Hawkins, one of our fastest guys. This is a similar line to what we have seen in other games. And guess what? Tulane is not the only team from our conference that is ranked now, because we're going to be 6-1 at number 25. You know, if we keep this up, we might be able to finish first team all conference as well at the quarterback position. We just got to keep on throwing touchdowns. And then, of course, have like no more interceptions, because if you throw more than 8 or 9 picks on this game, unless your stats are crazy, you're not winning any awards. Headed down to Birmingham. We'll see how this one goes. There's a decent amount of fans in the crowd. But you have to think, we have some incredible players like Tank Hawkins that make it possible to get 4th downs. And if they can't figure out how to stop us offensively, then we are going to feast against this defense. What I really want to do on 3rd and 1 is just throw this bubble. They left it open. We get it out. We're going to walk ourselves in celebrating. And for the first play of the 2nd quarter, I'm going to pull out another RPO since we're on the 6-yard line. I mean, look at the look that they're giving us. This should always be free. What I figured out against the Blazers was we're probably about to get our easiest win of the season. Our defense keeps on putting us in incredible spots on offense. And then if they don't, we just move it down the field effortlessly. We are absolutely cooking their coverage at the moment. We're just going to be patient, try and hit one of our 2 receivers, though he stopped his route. Tank Hawkins was selling a little bit for us there, but look who we have out of the backfield. It's dropped, and I'm frustrated. I'm so frustrated. I am willing to go for it on 4th down. That was never going to work, like ever. And what happens when we get off to really good starts in games is I just end up getting way too greedy and turning it over when we should. By the way, if we were to check out our recruiting board, you'd see no one's on there. One of the reasons, because I still don't know if we're going to even be with FAU next year, and 2, transfers just make a bigger impact. Our brand exposure, it's just not going to raise no matter how good we are, though it seems like some of our stats had to go up for us to be a 76 instead of a 74. I just don't know what, because auto progression's on. We also have a spot in the conference championship if we don't lose again. Just 4 more games and we can pull that off. We're going to spend our next few coach points just maxing out our receiver stats. That's basically the only pathway I go down whenever using a coach on College Football 26. You could try and make your argument in the comments that there are better options than that one, but in my opinion, tactician is the way to go for a shorter rebuild. I just don't think recruiter's that great this year. Early on in this game, we have a wide open Perry who's in. And I think this is cover 2, so I'm going to be looking for Cooper Perry on this play as well. But it was cover 3, and I'm trying to throw it to Jackson. The computer disguises their coverage a lot on this game, by the way. Jackson warned you of the size advantage. Go up and get it. Looking back, that was a terrible way to end that drive, considering 3 points would have really helped us. UTSA has actually played us the best defensively of anybody that we have faced so far. They schemed for us well, and I was certainly not expecting that, though I think we're going to be able to tie things up. We have Hampton open here, assuming that they're not in zone coverage, though if they are, we just had to be a little bit more patient. And you know what I'm rooting for on 3rd down. Are we going to be able to stop Owen McCown and UTSA? We sent 5 dudes in his face, and one of them's going to force a fumble. You might say just settle for a field goal, end this game. We can't do that since they still have all 3 of their timeouts left. It would still be better for us if we were able to score a touchdown against them. And if you've ever seen a computer kicker kick something from the hash mark on this game, we've got to get out of this spot. I'll take 6. I think we're going to end up being okay. This might be the final play of the game, or they're going to have a chance to get off one more Hail Mary. I don't know why they didn't throw it up there. I guess they didn't like the look that they were getting, but we are fully prepared for this one. Please do not let them catch this ball. That deflected around too long. We're going to survive playing in one of the only domes in college football. And checking back in on Tulane, they might finish this regular season undefeated, but if we beat them in the conference championship, that would give us a spot in the playoff. We're also just 5 passing touchdowns away from breaking the FAU single season record. That was the main goal that I was setting out to achieve whenever we started this season. Mainly because most of the challenges we have on the list are still going to be very hard to pull off. But we were able to hang on to that touchdown while they were having a flag, which we're going to decline. If I were to sit here and compare transfers, I'd say I've been more happy with Cooper Perry than Tank Hawkins, who every so often burns the defense. On this play in the fourth quarter, we're going to give Cooper Perry that same opportunity, but he's just not going to pull it off, which is why we missed this throw. And that's unfortunate because Carson Krueger is trying to have the best game of his career. He's already passed for 300 yards, 3 touchdowns. This is where padding stats typically goes wrong, but I am still trying to do it. He could set that record at FAU with this game as he's 1 touchdown away. And I feel like that is a record that you'd want to achieve on your home field. What a pass from him. That's the best one we've ever made. Like, it's not even close. I didn't think he had that in him. Clearly he does. We're just going to our check down. I'm trying really hard not to force it, but we're going to have to force it. But unfortunately, our receivers ran in front of each other, which means we have to go for it on 4th and 8, where Hampton sauces up the corner, and he isn't in. That could have been the record right there for Carson Krueger. I can't believe he's about to achieve this in season 2. He can get it on this play. And this is going to be a game that he remembers forever because for the first time, he's passed for over 400 yards in a matchup and 5 touchdowns. There it is, popping up the single season record at FAU for passing touchdowns in a season, which means we are nowhere near close to achieving everything I want to in his career, but we're 1 step closer to doing it. What's truly incredible is we've already locked in a 9-3 season. We've basically locked in our spot to the conference championship too. But to be 100% sure, we still have to win at Temple on the road. They are the one team that can knock us out of it. I just don't think that they're that good. We're both repping the Owls in this matchup, and we're going to start off the game with a huge 4th and 3. I also think Tyler Warren could have a touchdown here. It just depends on the look that we get. They get a hand on the ball. That was a really impressive defensive play, but they shouldn't guard Jackson Warren here. Whenever I used him at FIU, he was our top receiver. I feel like in this one, he's just been more of a distraction. Like, he just created space for us to complete that pass. There's a flag on this one. I thought the RPO was going to get us a touchdown, but unfortunately, this happens every so often. You get hit with an illegal man downfield, but we're going to come a little closer. And if they put us in man-to-man coverage, I like the idea of just finding Duke Clark. The craziest thing is I didn't even focus on improving his route running or catching, but that's what he has done best for us. We won this one by a lot. I should be excited too because Carson Krueger threw for 5 touchdowns, but he had 2 picks. That locks us into the American Conference Championship though, so this game doesn't mean that much. The only thing it could still ruin is our playoff hopes. I just don't see us losing to Charlotte. Through 2 quarters of football, we have been able to score 14 points, assuming our blocks were just incredible there. That was a really dumb taunt though. We're gonna have to hit Perry immediately because no one's over on him there. And I might have actually just ruined this whole drive. We're gonna put our running back on a very quick out route. I'm an idiot. That is the only reason that in the final few minutes, I'm not comfortable that we're going to be able to take down the 49ers. They're still in it by a possession, and they have us on a 3rd down where going underneath doesn't get us enough. Now, they're coming out aggressive, which is probably good for us, even though I'm going to look a little bit shorter. Never mind. You know I want the stats. You know I want the stats. Don't get a hand on it, we're good. I have prioritized touchdowns for Carson Krueger all year over us winning, over us scoring, and it's worked out pretty well because we've put up good stats. We've won basically every game. It just gave us a couple scares we shouldn't have had, but he's now set the single season passing touchdowns record in the American Conference. That does not mean that he has it at FAU yet though, because they've been a part of other conferences, like back in 2019. I don't know where they were. Was it Conference USA? I genuinely don't know. I don't think it was the Sun Belt though. There we are in our conference championship game. Assuming we take down Tulane, we should be the 5th highest seed in the playoff. Missouri State at 8-4 to be ranked this high makes 0 sense to me. You also might think that with the amount of success we've had, a lot of these players don't want to transfer anymore, but that's just not going to be the case. We're still going to lose a lot of these guys. Not much that we can do about it though, but it's time for the battle of the 2 best teams in the American. Tulane has scored almost 150 more points than we have this season, so they should be this dominant, especially with Pittsburgh transfer Eli Holstein as their QB. They might have the home field advantage for this game as well, but they haven't started out that strong offensively. We stop them, we're driving down the field. We just aren't able to make the hot routes that I would like to. And did they not guard Duke Clark? That feels like they did not do their work whenever scouting. Jackson Warren has a chance to get open in the end zone. Sure enough though, Carson Krueger had to miss him there, which makes it 3rd and 10. I think we're going to get down to this part of the field and not score. A 4th and inches makes me really nervous. I know I haven't run the ball, but I'm going to run the ball here. Listen, this is the conference championship game. We have to do what we think is going to work for us to win. And Cooper was always going to hold on to that football. You just can't give him inside leverage in that position. We're going to need a huge play out of Duke Clark, though. He was not able to get the separation that we needed, but we'll go underneath and get just enough. Oh, we're still standing, too. I like the fight that we're seeing out of Moore, so much so, I wanted to have him run over the middle of the field. That was almost a disaster. We're very lucky that it worked out the way that it did. Our blocks held decently. We'll see what we go with on 3rd and 2. I like looking underneath and just getting it out pretty quick if we can. So much for a tight end being a safety blanket. Duke Clark is our safety blanket. And Tulane is calling some timeouts. That was the right decision, though. I was going to want to chew some clock before the end of this half. And as time has gone on in this one, in the 3rd quarter, you can see not much has changed. Our running back picking up the block there, though, so we could try and take this deep shot is huge. Not catching that, though. Tank Hawkins could really come back to hurt us if our defense wasn't playing so well. He almost broke free here. But I cannot forgive him for that drop touchdown. Look who they have just left open for absolutely no reason. He's going to break the tackle. And what a play from Duke Clark to put us up by 11 points. This is the best transfer we've gotten, and he isn't even a receiver that we throw the ball to a lot. That play alone made it so much more comfortable and easy to close out the American Conference Championship. I honestly think that one might be in my top 5 of plays I've had on College Football 26. It was just electric. He turned on a whole other gear on that play, and we were able to complete our 2nd challenge of the video. With award week coming up, there's another challenge that we might have been able to complete as well, so we're going to have to check for that. We're going to get Miami in the 1st round. That is absolutely heartbreaking, but we have to see if we were 1st team All-American. Eli Holstein won it. It makes sense. He's an 87, but his stats could not have been better than ours. 30 passing touchdowns, 3,000 yards. We were somehow not even 2nd team All-American. And I know we threw 11 interceptions. This is why I said we can't throw many picks. We had 44 passing touchdowns, 3,400 yards. This means setting up for Carson Kruger's senior season. There's a lot of stuff that we're going to have to shoot for. But I'm actually hoping he doesn't transfer out because Duke Clark should be sticking around, and so should Tank Hawkins and Cooper Perry. Plus Bubba Hampton, too. Those are our top 4 receiving targets. Jackson Warren might still leave. For whatever reason, he doesn't like our playing style, so the 6'8 tight end could be gone, but he only has 72 speed. We could find somebody else that could be better for us through the air there, but if we end up transferring out, then none of that matters anyway. We're going to be able to max out all the tactician tree stuff. Our journey to trying to win a championship, though, is going to start against in-city opponent Miami. After experiencing this type of draw with FIU and now seeing it with FAU, I feel like the game gives you playoff opponents that are close to where you're from. I don't know, it just can't always be a coincidence. Even winning one playoff game would do wonders for our success in the transfer portal, by the way, if we stay. I mean, I think our defense has already proven that no matter who we're facing, they can typically do a pretty good job. It's our offense that's going to have to show up, and we catch it. Carson Kruger's throw power here might hurt us, but I wanted to get it out very fast to Jackson Warren, and it seems like they got inside leverage on that slant, so we're going to audible. We're going to hit Jackson Warren immediately, whether he's open or not, and he was. Unfortunately, though, the Hurricanes would score the next 14 points in this game. In the 3rd quarter, if we're going to stay in this, we got to score on this drive. What I'm really hoping for is some of this motioning can just throw their defense off. It's left our drag to Cooper Perry, wide open. He's going to go to the red zone. And can you imagine if they gave us a cover 2 look? We'd have a touchdown. Though they've stuck with him. So we're going to hit Jackson Warren instead, who breaks 2 tackles. He's hard to bring down. Unfortunately, the Hurricanes would end up getting a field goal on their next drive. So currently, we're down by 10. And the stadium pulse just kicked in out of absolute nowhere. We're actually going to hand this one off. We've been able to silence the crowd for a play. But there's a flag, and that's going to be holding, unfortunately. It doesn't matter that Cooper Perry did that. I knew I was getting way too much time back there in the pocket for us not to be doing something wrong. But again, Carson Kruger, way better season this year. I can only expect that next season, he's going to take this team to even greater heights. And I feel like Tank Hawkins can run underneath this for a pretty good game. On 2nd and 5, we're actually going to be pretty aggressive here. They were falling back, making sure they didn't give up a huge gain, which worked to our favor. I might have some deep routes out there on the field, but I know they're probably not going to work. And here we go. Big 3rd and 2 against the Hurricanes. Man-to-man coverage. Duke Clark, wide open, underneath. He's not gone. There's only 3.5 minutes left in this game. We got to hurry up, and we got to give our defense time to get a stop. We're going to break one, not two. We still have not been able to finish off this drive yet. Jackson Warren, not really open, but our slant is. That's a weird camera angle. Here we go, though. We only have one timeout left. We've seen our defense not do much until right now, and this is all that we wanted. A chance to win a playoff game with FAU. Halfback screen. Good start. We're not going to break free. No, we are going to break free because Duke Clark is like it. He is an absolute monster, and this could be a very good throw. That right there would do it for me. That's how satisfying that throw was. We're at midfield. I've never seen this one before, though. Shallow screen. I'm very interested to see how it works out. I guess we caught it. Cannot complain about that. We're going to have our drag too, but they're quick to tackle. So I think we should go back to what's worked so well for us in this game. The halfback screens. Great blocking from 55, except we got caught. And we are not in field goal range yet. I want to put Cooper Perry on a slant. It's not going to go through, unfortunately, which means we're going to look over to that side of the field. That's not open. Nothing was there. Nothing was there. I didn't want to take a sack. Let me rewatch this back, though, just to see if there was anything. I take that flat route. We're not going to pick it up. I was really looking at the zig, and they were all over it. I guess I could have thrown the in, but I feel like the linebacker would have broke on that as well. We should have probably found a different play call there. I just thought I was going to be able to audible a slant. But it's okay. We played a lot better than I was expecting still. We ended up setting records like the FAU single-season passing yards record. And at the end of the day, the Hurricanes were solid. Louisville made it back to the national championship, but this time they lost. It is time to find out if Carson Cruver is going to transfer, though, because he has not met his deal breaker. It looks like he was able to get up to a 77 overall. He could probably hit like an 80. I just don't know what we're going to end up doing since he wants to transfer, because that's going to greatly inhibit what his team looks like next year, but he stayed. I don't even know if "hibit's" a word. I was just so relieved that he's going to stick around because a lot of other players want to leave, like Jackson Warren. We can try and convince some of them to come back, but they're going to fail. I'm just shocked that he didn't leave. I mean, basically every other player is dipping out of here besides him. He was the one person that decided that he wanted to stick around. And on top of that, we're losing some really good talent. We'll see what the roster looks like after I do my magic in the portal. We had a right tackle drafted in the 7th round, so that might boost up our pro potential just a little bit. And look at the players interested this time around. We have 4 stars that want to come play for FAU because of how good of a season that we just had. With 35 guys on the board, I think I'm going to have a pretty hard time deciding which of them I actually want to put our 750 hours into, but I should be able to make some pretty good improvements to the team. What I ultimately had to decide on was if a player didn't have a pipeline with us, or it was like our 3rd 4-star defensive tackle, we just have to ignore those guys because we need to be able to get a lot of different players on our team. This is how I typically handle the portal. Now I get to reevaluate the entire board after week 2. Obviously, any player that we stand a chance on is going to stay on our board. Any player that we're losing hours on, they're going to get removed. If we're in 2nd place for any of these guys, it's just a waste of hours, especially on the 3-star front. Like if there's any competition, Buffalo's going after this kid, he's going to be removed. I'm glad I didn't put hours into this one right here. That's the entire strategy, though. The hardest part is going to be guessing hard sells if it's even possible for us to have it on one of these players. For example, on Jaden Jackson, there's only one that it could be, so I'm pretty confident in putting this on there, and we're also going to have to schedule him for a visit the next week, hoping that can make a difference. Any additional hours can go into prospects that other schools just aren't going after, like Justin Marshall. And interestingly enough, if I wanted to go after Jackson Warren and bring him back to the team, he's actually available in the portal for us to target. It's never a good sign that when you're guessing hard sells correctly, in the final week, you end up falling to 2nd place, or you get into a recruiting battle, or you get a deal breaker. All of those definitely terrify me. I'm not sure how many of these battles that we're going to win, but at least on the 3 stars, a lot of these guys, we just haven't put much effort into. I think at the end of the day, we're going to make the team a little bit better no matter what, and I love seeing the amount of 4 stars that I've already seen, though that might be the end of it. Just kidding. We were also able to sign Kevin Wynn. Louisville and Florida took a lot of these 4 stars away from us, but it makes sense. They have been more successful than FAU has. We ended up losing like 6 or 7 battles, but we won over 21 prospects, and all of these guys are pretty good. There was more guys with star development than last year, that's for sure. Our class finished at number 32. And at least offensively, I was happy to get Jackson Warren back on the team, but then I realized Tradez Green that came in is a tight end with 87 speed. He is going to be our starter. Before we can get in the training results, though, there are players that are getting dev trait upgrades. I am really hoping that we can get this on our quarterback. We don't. Carson Cruver is going to remain normal development, but I think it really helped us that he never ended up transferring out. We're still going to be able to max out his accuracy, making him an 80 overall. He's not fast, though, so Mobile Deadeye with his 71 speed makes absolutely 0 sense to get. We could increase his throw power a little bit or worry about his IQ. I think I would much prefer his throw power up, but it only is going to go up 1. That's going to be a little bit of a challenge to work with for sure. We are able to get up to 91 speed with Duke Clark, also make his agility 99. What I'm really interested in though is how high of an overall can we get on Cooper Perry. He's going to have 91 speed this season. His catching, you can only improve his catching stat, not spec catch or aggressive catch. That's the biggest downside to the elusive route runner archetype. I don't understand why it's this way, but another thing we can focus on is trying to get cutter if the route running gives us a chance to. That was at least what I was hoping for, but it didn't work out that way. I still think this is a pretty solid receiving core for the Owls. And when talking about it, you cannot forget about our new starting tight end, Trey'Dez Green. Now, after spending a lot of time going through and making sure that these players progressed as well as they possibly could, we're sitting with a team that is much better than what we had last season, especially on the defensive side of things. I mean, just look at our linebackers and then our cornerback room. Our cornerback room might be one of the best that I have had in a video so far. Micah Strickland always ends up being a really good player for us. So after I go in and encourage all the lower overall players to transfer, I wouldn't be surprised if we have a 99 overall defense. What did I say? We don't only have a 99 overall defense, but we have a 99 overall offense. In just a couple of seasons with FAU, I might need to be nerfed on this game, but here's the coolest thing. Carson Kroover is still the worst player on this roster as we go into this last season. He was the worst quarterback in the game when we started. He is still going to be the worst player on the team, even though we've been able to get him up to an 80 overall, and I'm happy with where he's at. I think we can do decent things with these stats. There will be a real test to start the season, though. We have to go on the road at number 8 Florida, playing in the swamp, and I think that's going to be our proving grounds to see how good this team actually is before the rest of our schedule gets a lot easier. Tulane's not on there again, so even if we do lose to the Gators, I could easily see us getting back into the playoffs, giving us a chance at winning a championship, but more importantly, winning a Heisman Trophy with a player that used to be the worst quarterback in the game has been my ultimate goal in this video. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to put ourselves up here with Bryce Underwood, Keelan Russell, Dylan Raiola, but I'm going to lock in, try my hardest, and see if we still have a chance at completing all the challenges left in this video. This first game against Florida will really dictate a lot of that. It's a game of the week, and I think we got a pretty good chance against the Gators just based off of the roster I built. The thing I am most likely going to struggle with the most, though, is just not throwing a bunch of interceptions. That's going to really determine whether or not we even have a shot at winning the Heisman Trophy, but the blocks line up well. We held our block, and we're going to be able to go in. I really like the way that we have started this game. We're going to try and fit this over that zone right there, too. Certainly not the throwing accuracy that you'd expect out of what used to be the worst quarterback in the game. Carson Kroover has come out hot in this one, though. It's looking great as we are going to end this first half. Except we just lost the football there, and they could score. It's just little things like that that we've got to avoid. This might be our first pick. That was still a close call. On 4th down, we're just going to go underneath the Cooper Perry. I figured it was going to be better to go for it versus anything else. Our blocks are also looking nice on this play. We just couldn't get over to the side of the field that we needed to where they were at. And as you can see, we didn't finish off that drive. We ended up only getting a field goal, which might be what happens on this one as well, though we're going to go for the end zone, and we're wide open. This has ended up being the perfect game for Carson Kroover as long as he doesn't throw an interception to end it. That's about all that could go wrong. We're going to wait to see what type of coverage they have out there, and it's another great pass. We didn't drag our foot correctly, though, which means on 3rd down, we're just going to wait for Cooper Perry to get open. And for what we did in this performance, if we could keep that up for every game the rest of the season, the Heisman Trophy would be ours. 379 passing yards, 5 touchdowns, no picks. It was a great start to the season, but we have to keep it up for 11 more matchups. There's currently 0 recognition in the Heisman watch list, but I have a feeling if we can drop 5 or 6 against this FCS school, we might get up there. That was at least my expectation going into it. We might end up with a couple less. We just haven't been as urgent against FCS East, but I guess the nice part about them having a weaker team is if we wanted to, we should be able to pass it pretty easily. We've been playing it pretty safe still, but we don't have to since we're that much better. It's a completely different mindset versus facing a team like Florida. Though one thing I wasn't expecting from them was to take so long offensively. They've been holding on to the ball forever, so we haven't had as much time to score. But by the end of this one, we did a little bit more damage. They were trying to throw the ball a lot more, and we still got 5 passing touchdowns. Surprisingly, a win against an FCS school got us more respect than a win at number 8 Florida. But that made me realize that the AP poll doesn't update during week 0 0 in this game, it might even work like that in real life. Typically, the teams that play in week 0 aren't that good, or if they're ranked, they're playing a much weaker opponent. We saw Florida State lose last year in week 0 though. Anyway, that's why the polls might not update. We are going to be able to go to the 1. Not exactly what I wanted, but we are going to have to get this throw off quick, and it worked. Army's not been bad against us though. They currently have a lead with 4 minutes left in the second quarter, and then I saw that they were pressing Tank Hawkins. He's going to catch it. For a second, it looked like he was going to drop that pass, which would have been a big problem. But we just got ourselves a bigger one. It's 3rd and goal, and we're going to have to settle for 3. I still think what is most important is that we're not throwing interceptions. I'd rather score less points instead of just forcing the ball to players that aren't open, mainly because in the long run, I'm just confident that we'll end up on top anyway. And in the last couple of minutes, our defense has literally set us up inside the red zone twice. We should be able to either hit a slant or scramble in here. I thought it'd be worth it to see if he could get a rushing touchdown. He couldn't, but we'll see if they go with man-to-man coverage on 3rd and goal. They do, so Cooper Perry can route that kid up. This is probably going to be the entire season, just confidently taking down other schools. That tank, by the way, in the end zone is sick. Like, I wish I was able to run over to it and celebrate on it. Unfortunately, you can't. What we would do, though, is continuously make this worse and worse. Carson Kroover shouldn't even be out there on the field at this point. He's dealing with wear and tear. But he ended up having what I think is the best performance of his career, touchdown-wise, with 7 of them. He still isn't a part of the Heisman watch, though. I'm not sure what it's going to take for him to get up here. It might just be a midseason thing, or maybe we need a little bit more passing yards. Currently, he is 17 touchdowns to 0 picks. He is literally on pace to throw for 68 touchdowns this season, but we have to take on rivals FIU whenever they're wearing their Vice jerseys, so we'll see if that helps them. As we try to end this first half, we're currently in a spot where we have a little bit of a lead, but I would obviously like to at least get a field goal out of this drive, and we might just be going for a touchdown. I think we can pull this off. It's going to be worth it in the end. We have a wide open Johnson Jr. And what I'll say about him is he's one of my favorite receivers on this team just because of where he plays in the slot. That was not a great example because he just got boxed up, but he's incredibly elusive, and it leads to us getting some touchdowns. To be in the Heisman race as a quarterback, though, I think it is more than just passing touchdowns that help. Rushing touchdowns do too. So I'll be running back another QB sneak after that one failed, which helped out. It's always as these games go on where they just get completely out of hand. Their offense barely moves the ball. We run up the score. But I feel like I have to do it because if I don't, we're not going to have a shot at winning the Heisman Trophy. Currently, we're about to get another passing touchdown. It's our first pick because I just spammed pass. And this one hurts because we were about to have our 4th straight perfect game. What sold me there was I thought it was man-to-man because Tank Hawkins got so open off the rip, and I looked for a second, I glanced, I saw him chasing him. Turns out he was just dropping back into his zone, and that's when I forced it to the drag. The more I watch back some of these turnovers, I'm learning a lot more, but that's what I was saying about I will throw interceptions if the game goes on for longer. It's just not worth running up the stats sometimes. As I look at the schedule for the rest of the season, though, I don't think it's going to be challenging for us. Navy's undefeated. Outside of them and playing against Rice, we should just wash everyone. But I still have to make sure that nothing goes wrong. We've already beat one military school. We're looking to do it again. And the annoying part about facing them is their offense takes a lot of time off of the clock, but we're going to make a great throw. It's really been nothing too interesting or different from all the other games we've played so far. We just ran up the score like we would any other week, but at the end of the game, I slowed it down with Carson Kroover so we didn't throw picks. That ended up being the right decision as we have found ourselves into the Heisman watch list for the very first time. You can see our career wear and tear health is kicking in a little bit, but we're having a very good season. And as long as nothing else changes over the coming weeks, we're going to have the exact year that I was hoping for with those challenges. 10,000 career passing yards and winning a national championship are the 2 challenges I'm still not so sure about. I think a Heisman really is possible. But like I said, if we're going to win it, we need some rushing touchdowns, so I'm going for them. If I can ever get on the 1-yard line, it's a no-brainer to me. I can't believe he's that open. And look at what we are about to do to this team before the end of the first quarter. One guy we haven't featured as much is Duke Clark, but I went over to him here and he couldn't get out. So that makes it 3rd down where we're thrown over that kid's head and we're lucky. I will say though, it is getting a bit ridiculous. Like the fact that we're going to have 5 passing touchdowns before the end of the half, at least assuming that we get in here, it's just a lot. It's hard to believe that one's defense can be this bad, but theirs is, and they're about to give up another touchdown as we're at the 2. This entire game has just been us doing whatever we've wanted. Whatever we've wanted. What do I do? What do I do at the end of these games? I thought it'd be cool to just like immediately hit our running back there. It was dumb. It was dumb. I mean, we almost chased him down. But that now gives us 2 interceptions on the season that were completely avoidable. With a 55% completion percentage, our stats just don't look that good. I was sitting here so confident, thinking we were just going to achieve every challenge potentially, but now I've noticed our name is dropped out of the Heisman watch. That is not good news for us, and just seeing that both Tulane and Rice are doing well in our conference, I'm hoping that can elevate our ranking a little bit. We don't play both of them, but we might face Tulane in the conference championship if we end up beating Rice. Until then, though, these are going to be our stats midway through our final season with Carson Cruver. As you can see, he's got about 8,000 career passing yards so far. We are still on pace for a ton of touchdowns. And I have to realize that forcing it for an extra 1 or 2 isn't going to make as much of a difference for us at the end of games as not throwing an interception is. At least we're even in contention for the Heisman Trophy. We just got to pull back a little bit on the turnovers. And I will say, I might even be being a little bit hard on myself because it's not like we've had a bad year. I can't expect myself to be perfect whenever we're slinging it as much as we are every single game. What I'll say about Trudez Green too is he has just been incredible for us at tight end. Look at wide open over the middle, LJ Johnson Jr. Basically, like any other week, we're going to work to get an early lead, and then after that, they're probably not coming back. I mean, look at the defense they have on us at the moment. They're not even trying to guard Tank Hawkins. I don't get it. Interestingly enough, though, this one's still not over. USF had a little bit of a run to start the 3rd quarter, and we're trying to stay in the pocket. The route combo we had out there on the field was abysmal, so I will take credit for that one. Though, this perfect throw is going to get us in. We just snuck that one by that guy. I thought he might make a play on the ball. And Carson Cruver has been able to keep this up throughout most of this game. LJ had to come back for it. We got to be a little bit careful down here on the goal line. On 3rd and goal, no one was there, which means I have to resort to a play I don't necessarily want to run. Due to a defensive touchdown, we're still going to end up closing this one out. We're about to get another one too. I'm honestly just annoyed though because Carson Cruver could have had a much better game than he did. He did all right. He made sure that we got the win. He passed for 300 yards, 4 touchdowns, no picks. But there were just a couple times I came up short when I really shouldn't have. Headed to East Carolina, I'd love to get a game with 5 passing touchdowns against them. They are 5-2. That's just something that is clearly important to keep in mind because they currently have a lead against us. Now, if I stare down Trudez Green, he seems to get open a lot of the time. He was a decoy for James Duke on that play, though, and I didn't even have another read. I should have had a better read. I really came out against East Carolina thinking we were just going to sling it effortlessly. We're going to have one more chance to get in. We could tie things up to end the first half, but tying things up is never good enough for me. But it won't matter. LJ Johnson Jr. just had his route ran for him. I can't give him an excuse. We simply have got to be better than that. There is no reason that we shouldn't have gotten in there. And I might as well just have a halfback angle route out on the field every single play. I've also been trying to get some of those deep shots out there, but I mean, that's probably not going to be caught. We literally had to have our defense bail us out as they forced a turnover. And guess what we went right back to? Duke Clark doesn't even have the best catching stats in the world or route running, which is why it's so odd that he ends up being one of our best receivers. I sure cannot complain about it though, as he does it again. It's actually ridiculous. Look at the lineup they have over on the left side of the field though. I don't know what their plan is with that. I was just seeing the press opportunity and saying we might as well try and take the top off of their defense. Cooper Perry is like that, and we have definitely put Carson Cruver back in the running for the Heisman. He has already been able to set the American career passing touchdowns record. He's 3 seasons deep, not even 3 full. But for whatever reason, the Heisman voters are ignoring that for Austin Simmons, who has 7 interceptions already this season with only 20 passing touchdowns. I can see why Matt Chadwick is up here. I can't understand Treston McMillan. The only possible explanation is he's just getting a bunch of rushing yards and touchdowns, but it's nothing that crazy. If we don't even finish in the Heisman voting, we're witnessing a live robbery. I mean, there's a good chance that we're going to break the Joe Burrow passing touchdowns record. FAU just isn't getting the love that they deserve, and that's just not fair. Maybe we should have hoped that Carson Cruver actually transferred out. He would have had a better chance at winning the Heisman, especially if he ended up making it to a bigger school as well. I feel like the team surrounding him would have been even better. Not a knock on someone like Cooper Perry, but I don't know if he's going to do this once we get to the playoffs. I mean, it'd be great if he did, They're giving us man-to-man coverage looks, and he did get free for another touchdown. But the next time we're down inside the red zone, he just needed to block for us, and he did a great job. I will admit there's some stat padding going on, which I said I wanted to avoid, but we can't if we're not in the Heisman race. And I would have been completely fine with not scoring the rest of this game, but our defense was on a different page. They've put us in an incredible spot where I don't know why I thought back-to-back halfback angle routes next to each other was going to work. It was some pretty rough play design, but what's worse is that's not a catch. I can't challenge it either because apparently they already looked at it. It seemed like a catch to me. We're going to Tank Hawkins though, and he drops it. See, this is where the stat padding's probably just not worth it. We're going to take that shot though. Think that he's not going to turn around. And you know that unlike any other football game you've played, they're going to somehow magically know the ball's coming and get the pick. I don't really care that much about gameplay. I care far more about the stuff going on inside the menus, but that's been something that has really stuck out to me. I don't think that we're going to be able to maintain a top 5 spot even unless these teams start to lose. It's not something we should be thinking much about though. That would have to do with our playoff seeding. As you can see, Carson Kroover has 46 passing touchdowns this year in 9 games with 2 picks. But there's no respect for it across the country. Treston McMillan is still the favorite to win the Heisman Trophy. I can see why Matt Chadwick is up here, but not these other players. It's just frustrating. We did everything that we could for the worst quarterback. And the one time he was actually showing up in the Heisman projections, I went out the next week, I threw an interception, and he hasn't been back since. It's actually really defeating. I'm going to see if Tank Hawkins can get the separation we want in this spot. It didn't work for us, but I'm hoping we get man-to-man coverage again because I've been testing this out, and he can't turn around on that. Now, the refs are going to review the catch. It might not have been a touchdown. It looks like it was, though. And so we ended up getting credit for it. Anyways, what I've been looking for is I've just been staring down the slot receiver on a little bit of an out route. That was a pretty cool way to end the first half too, even if we didn't score. We're just padding our passing yard stats since we've already been able to score a lot of touchdowns in this game. And Carson Kroover is on one right now, which means I am probably about to throw an interception. I just feel it coming on 3rd down. We're going to force it to Tank Hawkins. Once we get 5 touchdowns in this game, I will be happy. And we're going to go over to our flat, try and run it in, break 1 tackle, and then mix in a new play that I've never run before. This might actually be an interception, or it should be a touchdown. Come on, fight. This sets us up for a quarterback sneak, which we'll take. And look at how we're currently handling the final 20 seconds of this game. It's already over, and we could have not risked turning it over, but I wanted one more touchdown. I mean, this is just going to add to another week where we've had a great performance and should be considered for the Heisman. But ever since that turnover against UTEP, it's just like all of this stuff is invisible. We've been able to lead FAU to a 10-0 record where if we beat Rice, we're going to get another good win. I say another like we've had a lot of good wins. We beat Florida, and that was literally it. All these teams that are ranked above us have played much harder schedules. Florida's not even in the top 25. And if we were going to lose a regular season game to finish out the year, this would be the one. It's been an in-game month since I last threw an interception though, so I'm feeling pretty confident. And we just have to wait to see what type of coverage they give us and then stare down our running back. Down inside the red zone, you don't want to end up forcing the ball. I forced the ball. I jinxed it in live time. How did he even make a play on that? I thought we were about to score the first touchdown. This is actually insane. He played the handoff and then still picked it. That's just going to write off the chance at the Heisman Trophy for us. We're trying to space out their defense on this play, though. I feel like our tight end should be able to catch this. It's deflected into a pick. I mean, I should have never thrown that ball either. I don't even care that we just got it back with 5.5 minutes left. This has been a meltdown in real time. You are witnessing a full collapse. You play so well all season. All it takes is one bad game, and it just completely goes out the window. I already basically accepted that we're probably not going to win the Heisman Trophy. It's a guarantee. I don't even care about how we end up closing this one out. I'd rather just try and go for another touchdown. Tank Hawkins, we haven't hit him in a while, but he's open. That sure would have been nice to have the first 3 quarters of this game. They still gave us player of the game as well. I just know it's not deserved. It's not like either of these quarterbacks are going to deserve the Heisman Trophy though, because both of them have thrown more interceptions than us. They have far less passing touchdowns. So I think what it comes down to is we play for a smaller school in a much worse conference with a schedule that's not that difficult. For all I know, I could have been perfect the entire season and still not won the Heisman Trophy. It doesn't mean that we can't win a national championship though, so that's my new favorite goal. That's what's gonna matter the most to me. A couple extra passing touchdowns in a win just isn't doing much. We'll still take 4 more though, but something else gets me a lot more excited. We're going into conference championship week rated inside the top 4, so we might be able to get a first round bye. And again, if we're not gonna win the Heisman, at least give us a chance at winning the championship. Currently, if we look at the David O'Brien Award presented to the best quarterback of the year, you're gonna see us sitting down there at number 7. So it's not like it was even close for us. And that's crazy. We had 58 passing touchdowns. Notre Dame's quarterback has 43 with 3 interceptions. I don't know what the criteria is. My only guess is they just have rushing touchdowns weighted way too heavily at the moment. And let's say, for whatever reason, we come out, we don't play well against Tulane, I think we're still going to be in the playoffs. We are going to be able to get to Motivator Tier 4, which is just going to make our offensive line and then all our receivers start the fourth quarter hot in close games. Just a little bit of an added bonus that we're going to get. And even if I end up failing multiple challenges in this video, do you all think it was still successful? I'd say so, considering we started as a 56 overall with a team that wasn't winning much. But as I was sitting here playing, it just hit me. All we have to do is get a bunch of rushing touchdowns. Maybe that'll help. Can you imagine if that made us win the Heisman Trophy? It is not very easy for us to pull that off. Since we don't have that much speed, we got to go down at the 1. And there's only one run play for quarterbacks out of this playbook. It's the sneak. It is really hard to put yourself in a position, though, where you're on the 1-yard line. Like right here, we needed to catch it. And because we didn't, I mean, there's just 0 chance I'm able to run this one in. We have to throw it. We ended up not getting any more rushing touchdowns. It just wasn't easy to pull off. But you know what? We are undefeated with FAU. It really does stink to see Austin Simmons taking home the Heisman Trophy award. It's okay, though. We are in the playoffs. We also came out with a defensive award. And look at this bracket. We are the 2 seed, but we have to play the winner of Texas and Oregon. At the end of the day, I just wanted to be a first-team All-American inside our conference, which we ended up doing with Carson Cruver. And after doing the math on his career passing yards, he actually just has above 10,000 with 10,009. What this means is we might not be able to complete every challenge in this video, but if we win a championship, we would have done everything besides win a Heisman. And that is good enough for me. We're going to get the Ducks in the quarterfinals. They might have been a lower seed than Texas, but they took them down by 10 points. And we are just 3 games away from being able to win a national championship with the worst quarterback in the country. There's only been one time this season, though, where we have faced a team of this caliber. It was Florida at the Swamp. And we all remember how that one went. It was the easiest win in the world, but I'd imagine this would not be that. I guess if I wanted to, I could also mix in some more runs now since we're not going for the Heisman. But look at that start. We got exactly what we wanted, and I think it's just going to keep on getting better from here. We're not going to be able to hit the motion immediately, but we'll have Cooper Perry again. What this really all comes back to is the fact that I built a defense that's playing better than I thought they would. I know you all see the 99 overall and just think, well, of course this team's going to be solid. But I still don't see this team as a 99 overall for whatever reason. We were able to build it at a small school way too fast for them to really be that good. I guess we got in. Though they are going to review it, and this is where we'll go for a QB sneak. Once we go up by 24, I'm going to be feeling pretty comfortable. And sure enough, that's a pretty challenging lead to blow. So we're just having fun at the end of this one, as we're going to go for one more touchdown. We are now 2 games away from being able to win it all, and Carson Cruver is going to continue to cement himself in FAU history. He has the career passing yards record, the career passing touchdowns record. There's not much more he can get. But I'm telling you right now, EA does something where you just get set up against teams nearby, because we are playing Miami in the semifinals, and they had to get through 2 teams to play us. I can't even act surprised that it's them. They better not ruin our season again. Last year in the playoffs, we only lost by 3 points. Now our team is a lot better. So that's nice for sure. We are just going to be able to hit Cooper Perry underneath, and we might even dive in. I guess the ball did not cross the plane, but it will here. The real difference maker you're going to notice in this game is the same as the last one, though. It is our defense, plus the fact that Tre'Davious Green just makes some of the craziest plays every so often. I mean, they only scored 3 against us, so we didn't have to score more than 21. This is what we scored the last time. We just happened to make their offense shrivel up like me in a cold shower, and we've got Georgia as our national championship opponent. It's number 1 versus number 2, undefeated versus undefeated. If we win, we deserve it. This would not be a Mickey Mouse championship. This would be about as hard as it gets. Yes, our schedule to get to this point didn't necessarily challenge us that much, but we have still been able to make it here, and I'm just going to be patient, wait on our slant. We needed more time. I say I needed more time like we did not have a lot back there. Thankfully, Trey'Dez Green just finds a way in. Though after that drive, besides another one that we've had, they've shut us down a lot better offensively. Basically, what they realized was they can run a lot of man-to-man coverage, plus a lot of match coverage, and we typically just can't get open. I don't know what was up with that throw, though. He, like, stopped his route, too. Thankfully, wide open, Cooper Perry keeps us in it. And I think that we're going to be able to pull down some of these linebackers and then hit them for a touchdown. Please just give us man-to-man coverage here. That's what we're hoping for. I was throwing that no matter what. I can't even sit here and act like I was making a read. No, I was staring it down. I was hoping for the best. And we have been looking at Tank Hawkins throughout this entire game, but he just got boxed up. We got hit before this throw, and I'm really hoping whatever the flag is bails us out. It was against Georgia. Maybe they hit him with PI. I'm really not sure it was. But that's a big deal because after they got a field goal, we could take a lead with a touchdown. One of my favorite concepts to hit the defense with is the pairing of a drag and a halfback angle route. Come on. This is just the stuff you experience playing against a team as good as them. Like, what are the odds they got a hand on that? At least it still worked out for us. We actually scored again after that, but George has been scoring too. So with a minute left in this game, we are all tied up at 35. I could get us into field goal range, but the issue with that is I'm not sure I can trust a kicker to actually hit the kick. So what we're gonna have to do is actually get like extremely close, and this helps. National championship on the line. This just feels like an opportunity for us to have an overthrow that leads to an interception. I don't want to put that out there, but that's what my greatest fear is right now. Carson Krueger, you don't have to do much more for us. You might even be able to scramble for a little bit. He has been able to move the chains for us, and if they keep on sending 3, then we're going to have all the time in the world. What you all just saw there, we are never going to talk about. We are going to center this up. And then we took it down to 2 seconds, called a timeout. I swear, if we miss this field goal for the national championship, we're not going to. We don't even have to worry about it. We have been able to win it all with the worst quarterback in the game. It only took 3 years. And you all can let me know down below what you think in the comments, but I believe that we were robbed of the Heisman Trophy. I think we had good enough stats. You have to ignore the few interceptions I threw in the playoffs. I think we had 60 touchdowns going into it too. But since the committee was not on our side, it means that we only completed 5 of them. And if you all want to see me do anything else outside of rebuilds like this in the future, just let me know down below in the comments.